Welcome to Folding Towels, a podcast for massage therapists with Jackie and David. If you are enjoying our episodes and want to support the production, consider buying us a coffee. Your contributions help us bring you more insightful discussions and expert interviews. Follow the link in the show notes or visit buymeacoffee.com/Folding Towels podcast to contribute, and thank you for your support. Hello, and welcome back to the Folding Towels podcast. I am David, one of your co-hosts. I am here by myself today, and if it's not sounding particularly enthusiastic, it's because today I'm talking about something which we do need to talk about, but honestly I wish that we didn't have to. But here we are. This episode is about what to do when a massage client makes you feel uncomfortable, unsafe, unsure. When someone pushes a boundary, whether subtly or blatantly, and it leaves you rattled. So we're calling this one today, dealing with creepers in massage. So a big fat trigger alert on this episode. Because if this is a topic that has happened to you recently and you're not really ready to listen, tune out now. There's plenty of episodes where Jackie and I have a good laugh about other industry relevant stuff. Get in touch with your colleagues and you can come back to this later when you're ready for it. Because when a client, I hate the word mistake, but I'm going to use that, mistakes therapeutic massage for something else. When they say or do something inappropriate, it's important to have tools, language, and a really strong sense of your own value so you can shut it down and move on. So we're doing this episode because in a Facebook group just recently, someone asked that heartbreaking question, what should I do? Now, it's not the first time this question has been asked. It's not the last time. If it's happened to you and you don't know what to do, please reach out to your colleagues face-to-face or online. In a caring profession, and it's not isolated to massage, in caring professions, in professions where the giver is warm, personable, perhaps a little bit vulnerable, in caring professions, nursing, counselling. It's happened to my doctor, she told me recently. Nurses and teachers. In caring professions, there are individuals who sometimes want something more than you never intended to give. And if you've been there, you know the knot in the stomach that comes with it. So before we get on with it, there are some people that only associate massage with sex. They don't care about your qualifications. They're not going to read your website or look at your professional association. They're just going to ask. It's something that happens often to therapists who work in isolation, but it does happen in clinical environments too. I've even heard of a chiropractor who was not so subtly propositioned. Sometimes it might not happen until you've seen this person a few times and you have some trust and rapport with them, and you just don't see it coming. Some people ask before they get there. I like these people because it means no confrontation. You can head them off at the pass. You can tell them politely who to ask and inform them politely and firmly about who you are and who you are not. And then there's the people who give you the vibe the moment you lay eyes on them. So let's break it down. Why do we need to talk about this at all? And the truth is, this episode is probably long overdue. And I'm not here to sensationalize anything. And in previous episodes, we've talked about massage therapists who've done the wrong thing. And you have come back to us and said, yeah, but that seems to be not very common. We get these things happening to us all the time. And I want to offer some clarity and some calm in in a situation that often leaves people feeling foggy and with shame. So let's start with the obvious. Most of our clients are wonderful people. Most of them. Most of the people who come through the door are there for the right reasons. Most of your work is going to be respectful, meaningful, and deeply appreciated. But every now and then, someone makes you feel off. Have you ever had that feeling in your gut that something isn't right, even if you couldn't quite name it at the time? I know I have. And I'm sorry to all the male therapists out here. Let's face it, it is usually a male client harassing a female therapist, which is one of the reasons why I was surprised that it happened to me. I honestly felt that my gender would protect me. And to be fair, most of the time it probably does. So the first time it happened, I was new to the industry. A new client, saw him 2 to 3 times. We had some good conversations, we often chatted about our families, which is why I was surprised to be asked to finish him off as he pulled the towels aside. So first shock and anger, get up, get dressed, get out. I hadn't taken any payment up front, I didn't care, I marched him out the door. And I was working from home, and my family were at the other end of the house. And the next time, this is some years later, I was working in a chiropractic clinic and the guy was a bit wriggly and groany on the table. You can already hear the ick there. I'd seen him 3 or 4 times. Hadn't had experienced this before. He didn't make any comments to me. He didn't try to touch me, other than his body movements, which they were off-putting. But I didn't suspect anything. It was only after and I was in a chiropractor's office, and it was only after when I was changing the table, I found that he'd left me a little semen deposit on the towels. And the warning signs, they were there. And when I went back to check his intake form, and I went back to review it, it was incomplete. On that day, he'd told me that he wasn't wearing underwear, and I still consented. And I covered him with additional towels, and I was diligent in my draping, and I didn't roll him over. But since that time, I have been asked questions over the phone, by email and text message. And I've had 1 or 2 creepers in my treatment room since. Not for quite some time, and I hope that it stays that way. But it's gross. It's really gross. So let's be real. We are in a hands-on profession. There is a level of intimacy and massage that doesn't occur in any other form of workplace. And some people might find that a bit confusing. In a world of highly stressed people, for men, for example, an erection can just happen spontaneously without any sexual thought. It's happened to me as a client. It's embarrassing and awkward. Just work on my back, thanks. Yeah, I really don't like my quads being touched. It's just a sign of the parasympathetic system kicking in. And I have a rule in my clinic, if you don't play with it, I'm okay with it. Extra towels to cover it up, let's not talk about it, let's move on. As a guy working on another guy, often that person won't come back out of shame or guilt or embarrassment. But just because someone feels something, feels cared for, feels heard, or feels like maybe they have a connection with you, that's something that they have interpreted, it doesn't mean they get to act on it. If they did so in their own workplace or any other workplace, I hope that they would be marched into human resources and given the what for. In truth, though, sadly, creepers at work, they rely on their target feeling shame or guilt or not speaking up. And they are so sure that they're God's gift to humanity, how could you possibly resist them? There are certainly some personality archetypes that go with being a creeper. Friends and family, and even now some past clients, they've joked about the happy ending, and I've reminded them firmly, you wouldn't ask that of your accountant, or the baker, or the carpet installer, or the real estate agent, or the mechanic. This is sexual harassment. It is a crime. It needs to stop. And we are entitled to feel safe when we go to work. And I also don't believe 100% that the sex industry is to blame either. If people truly want a sexual encounter, it's really easy to find that service in your city. Just ask your local cab driver. Search on the internet. They'll know where to take a person. So why are they asking you? But more importantly, did you blame yourself? Did you think for a moment that maybe you gave out a vibe or forgot to do something or could have done something better? Stop! You are not to blame. A jerk-faced twat has made a decision either in advance or at the time. As adults, we know right from wrong, and some people choose to act on wrong. You are not to blame, and I'm sorry that this has happened to you. Just recently I picked up the book by Ian Harvey called Massage is Weird. Ian Harvey is the massage sloth. Highly recommend that you follow him on Facebook. He has a beautiful writing style, and he has a comprehensive section on spotting creepers. And I like it so much that today's episode I have borrowed from Ian, and because his words are just so beautifully written. I encourage you to buy the book, to read it and to soak in his words. So let's look at some patterns, like what to avoid. So some people are a little bit sketchy to start with. Like this is the person that via a text message or maybe a booking form has a bit of a weird or a vague question. Do you do full body massage? No hello. No further questioning, just do you do a full body massage? Yes, I do a full body massage. My full body massage includes the fronts and the backs of the legs, the back, neck and shoulders and the arms. That's how I'd respond to that. Are you comfortable working with an older man? It's a bit ick. Do you have any issues with body hair? Yeah. I have really tight glutes and quads. I just want you to spend all your time there. It's not always what they say, but it's the tone and it's what's implied. And often it's the speed with which they'll ask about their inner thighs or their glutes or undressing. I forgot to wear underwear. I hope you don't mind. They're testing you to see what you might accept, what you might be prepared to cave on. Because if you give in to one thing, maybe you'll give in to something else. Now, I have received plenty of messages asking for very specific things. I have this issue, very high up in my groin. Can you help me with that? Sure. That area responds fabulously to dry needling. Do you have a fear of needles? Look, there might be a specific time where working with the pectineus is indicated. Normally not the first thing you'd go to. I've had an inquiry. I get really enthusiastic in my massage and I get a bit vocal. I hope you're okay with that. Well, after my encounter with Moaning Mark, and you can check out episode 100 for more details on that, I am totally not okay with that. Do you mind if I film the session? Watching my own massage helps me to feel so relaxed. I'm glad you asked that question, and no, I'm not okay with it. I have no idea where that video of me is going to pop up, so I do not consent to you filming our session. I prefer to take my underwear off. It helps me to really feel and get into the massage. Red flag. No, get out of my clinic, and I'm not falling for that one again. So, the next type of person will slowly turn the heat up. This is the guy that might seem endearing at first, but just nudges at those boundaries, slowly getting to that line. It's subtle at first. The session starts off fine, and you think, oh, maybe he's just chatty and friendly. But over time, the comments start creeping in. Oh, I really like that shirt on you. It really shows off your figure. Like, seriously, dude, it's 2025. It's not okay to talk to people that way. You've got such firm hands. You really know your way around my body. Has anyone ever got it excited on the table before? I think the problem is a bit higher up in my thigh. Can you work there? You are being tested, my friend. The boundaries are being pushed. Where might he stop, and what will he ask next? Have you ever questioned yourself mid-session? Did I hear that right? Was that suggestive? What did you do or not do in that moment? In any workplace, this is sexual harassment. And unfortunately, harassment is often not nipped in the bud. The receiver feels shame, doesn't want to rock the boat. The giver feels entitled. And the witnesses, if there are any, they try to busily look the other way because maybe it's happened to them or they hope that they're not next. Assertive people out there have no fear about speaking up, taking control and nipping things in the bud. They'll also be the ones telling you that all you have to do is to stand up for yourself, which is true if that behaviour actually comes naturally to you. But the reality is that not everyone is assertive or feels that they can speak up or speak out, particularly if you've been gaslighted. And maybe you feel like you've contributed to this time. Recently I read that if a client places their hand on you as code for, I want something extra, well, just seriously, don't touch me, dude. And I have been touched like that before, and the feeling was icky, and I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know why. So reading that now, it brings on even more ick. I've even been told that I'm good for it because there's a box of tissues in the room and that means that I obviously do the thing. It's like, mate, people get a runny nose. They sneeze. Sometimes they cry. Tissues don't mean I'm up to touching you in your special place. Like, are there really these codes? Or do we just want to believe that? Now the next person it's the nude dude. It's exactly what it sounds like. You walk into the room, he's laying completely naked, not under the towel, not wrapped in the drape, just there. Maybe face up, maybe face down, just birthday suit and no modesty. There is one thing I want you to do in your practice. Being explicitly clear in your scripting. I'm going to leave the room now for you to undress. Take your shirt and trousers off and leave them on the chair. Please leave your underpants on. Please remove your watch and jewellery and place them in this box. This towel is for you. It's a full-length towel. Unfold it. Pull it over your back as best as you can, like a cape. Lay face down on the table. Your face goes here. I will knock in a few minutes before I enter the room. Do you have any questions? Look them in the face as you do this. If you open the door to a rude surprise, pull that door closed and give them instructions. Sir, I have given you clear instructions which you have ignored. It is now time for you to get up, get dressed, and leave. This massage is not going ahead today. Sometimes they might claim confusion. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that's what you meant. But no, they know. I'm never going to my accountant nude, or to the shops. And the only time I've been naked in a health setting was when the ambos cut my clothes off of me after I was struck by a car. It's just not something that we do. There is no signage in our spaces saying clothing optional. I do want to be clear about something. Certainly in Australia, there is no law mandating that a person wear underpants to a massage. I do sometimes see therapists saying it's the law, you have to keep your underpants on. It's not the law. But our code of practice does talk about maintaining modesty and respectful draping. A person might have legitimate reasons for not wearing underpants. There are some therapies that might specifically require the person to be completely unclothed but draped, such as lomi-lomi massage. Some therapists, in their style of therapy, prefer the person to have no undies on for glute work. This is a conversation that happens seated while you're doing your intake, and it forms part of informed consent. 3 years ago I had a female client, and when I knocked, she asked me to come in, and she's standing there butt naked, and I've recoiled out of the room, and she's called me back in. And I've talked to her through the door, and she's like, with my shoulder the way it is, I can't get my necklace off. And I'm on holiday, I don't wear underpants. So I did ask for some more clarity, and I've come into the room holding a towel in front of me, popped that over her shoulders, assisted her with the necklace, and she got onto the table. I made sure that I was very diligent at my draping. And she was a nurse for some 40 years, and she's like, for God's sake, David, it's just the human body. And there are some people who just don't appreciate the levels of modesty that we have to keep. Now, my risk meter did tone down a notch with her, and I did make some very detailed notes about that session just in case it did come back to haunt me. Now, how do you spot the creeper before they book with you? Like, the goal is not to live in fear. The goal is not to treat every single person as if they're a criminal until they're proved innocent. That would be really sad. But it is to sharpen your radar. So just the other day I got an email through my website, and it says, "Hi, I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anyone, but I'm just inquiring if transgender massages have happy endings. If I've offended anyone, it's not my intention. I apologise. Thank you." Guess what? Not a creeper. Also not a service I can provide. And my response, Dear X, thank you for your email. That's not a service that I provide. However, nearby on road in suburb is a service called and they are a trans-affirming sensual massage service, and they will be able to provide the service that you are seeking. Sincerely, David. So if that wasn't creepy, what is? Well, there's a few things to look for, like vague or oddly sexual language in the first contact. Fixation on a particular area, like Jim and Fatima, the bodybuilders with tight glutes that seem to do the rounds of massage therapists in Australia. These guys, they're actually scammers. Just don't reply to them. Referring to massage in terms that sounds like a euphemism. Over-explaining their body or their needs. At an absolute red light is a short notice request. No name. I'm looking for a massage today. Or maybe it's I'm looking for a full body massage today. No please, no thank you, no do you have times available, just blunt. Now this is where being asked questions before they get to you is such a blessing, as gross as it might sound, because you can screen that person, head them off before they come to you. you might even choose to just ignore the message completely, block the person, and to move on. But if you do respond and you set a boundary, how do they then respond? I'm looking for a full body massage today. Thanks for your message. I don't have times available today. My first massage available is not until the 19th of August. A full body massage includes the fronts and the backs of the legs, the back, neck and shoulders, and your arms. Is this what you're looking for? I'll either not respond to you at all, knowing they've been called out, or they'll come back and specifically ask for the service that you don't deliver. No. Do they get aggressive? Red light. Big, blinking red light. You don't need that person in your life. You don't need to serve that person in your practice. Now, years ago, I got a call forwarding number. It was a landline that directed to my mobile phone. And while I did have a work mobile phone, and it is a separate phone, I don't take it on holidays, and I'm prepared to throw it in the bin if it comes the attack of creepers. But I didn't give out my mobile number. No dick pics for me. No late night SMS messages. The only way at that point to get in contact with me was through my website or by calling this number. Often creepers don't want to call and talk. The aggressive, spammy people, of course, they may just blatantly ask, but usually, for someone asking for an appointment at short notice or asking for a specific service, will do so by a text message, through Messenger, through DMs. And even if they haven't explicitly asked for something, any message for a short notice appointment, it will go. I will send them to my booking page on my website. I will not do massage bookings over text message or over DM. To make an appointment, they need to go through my privacy statement about they need to go through my policies about missed appointments, about non-harassment. Then they need to leave their name, their date of birth, their number, and their email address. Can they lie? Sure. Of course they can. But it's about adding some friction into the process. They have to leave personal identifying information. They cannot be anonymous. It's just another step in the process. So if you are quite worried, and I would even go so far as to encourage you to take a deposit or a full payment up front through your booking system as yet another step to block someone who is looking for quick satisfaction. But what do you do when someone actually crosses the line? And this is where so many therapists get stuck. Like, what do you say? If you've come to the point where a creeper is in your treatment room, what do you do? Especially if you fear confrontation. This is the part that sucks because you need to practice your assertiveness. Let's keep it simple. If it's something that the client has said to make you feel uncomfortable, maybe they've probed about, are you married? Do you have a partner? Do you live independently? Sure, it might be innocent. It might be probing and leading to a more intrusive question, and you just simply head them off at the pass. I prefer to keep the session focused on your treatment goals. I'm sorry, that's not something I can discuss in session. This is a professional service. If you're looking for something else, I can't help you. You can still be firm while being polite. Don't let it escalate. If it's behavior, they're touching you, they're touching themselves, they're pulling the towels back to expose themselves, sexualized actions, sexualized questioning, there is no question. I'm ending the session now. Please get dressed, Meet me in the hallway. So that option is particularly good if you have someone to support you. However, if you feel unsafe, leave the room. Do not re-enter. If you have colleagues, grab one of them. If there is a manager or a supervisor, get them immediately. But if you're on your own and do not feel safe, leave the building and call for help. Then document what has happened. Even if you are doubting yourself, I would encourage you to make a report to the police. There's something that we do owe to each other as therapists, and that is to protect each other from harm. In my younger days with those first couple of encounters, I now wish that I'd put in a police complaint. At the time I rationalised that it would go nowhere, which is possibly true, and I felt I'm unharmed, so there's no crime. But in chatting to police later, they tell me they rely on having a body of evidence. Your report might be the first one that goes on to establish a pattern. Yours might be the final one needed for them to take action. If anything, it at least puts the matter on the record and serves as part of your own internal processing. If you work in an allied or allied-aligned health practice, then this definitely needs to be documented as a workplace incident, and the owner and the manager needs to support you on this. They are morally and legally obliged to. And if this incident results in you going out on, say, stress leave, they can be held liable. Management, protect your staff. Shield them from the creepers. And please, 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 support them if it happens. Now the next part is, it should feel easier than it often is, and that's firing a client. With modern technology, we don't even need to talk to a person to fire them as a client. So it doesn't need to be treated as emotionally as a Dear Jane or Dear John letter. Professional relationships end all the time. So sad. It's just business. Just like when a client has chosen they no longer want you to provide the service to them. Did you take that to heart? Probably. I know I have. Anyway, firing poor-fitting clients is something to practice. I think it's helpful to keep a short written script that you can just cut and paste into an email or a text message. And you need to write a note on that client file. Do not book. So that message might say something like, Dear Moaning Mark, based on our last session, I will no longer be accepting massage bookings from you. David. Short and sweet. Maybe it's, I felt uncomfortable during our last session. I will not be offering future appointments. Sincerely. Or maybe a bit more formal. Dear client name, during our last session, I felt uncomfortable due to the nature of your comments. I offer therapeutic massage only, and maintaining a professional and safe environment is important to me. For that reason, I won't be rebooking any further sessions. Should you believe that this decision is unfair, you are welcome to make a complaint to the Health Services Commission. And finally, I want you to know this is not your fault. As adults, we know right from wrong. Just because this person's last therapist entertained the behaviour does not make it right at all. Something icky has just happened to you. The hairs on the back of your neck stood up. You felt your heart rate increase. You felt your colour drain. You know what's just happened. Fight, flight, freeze. Your sympathetic nervous system is firing right now. Yeah. You sense danger. You might have felt fear. Maybe it reminded you of something in your past life. Should you have spoken up in the moment? Could you have anticipated this coming? Did you say or do something to warrant that behaviour? Here's the truth. You didn't. You didn't do anything wrong. They did. Them. It's all them. They are the bad person in this relationship. Creepers don't do what they do because you wore the wrong thing or made them feel welcome and warm. They do it because they're testing their boundaries and they think they can get away with it. Maybe because they don't care about the impact of their actions. Or perhaps they do. They do it because of the impact of their behaviour. How you feel right now is real. Maybe you want to throw in the towel. I know after the first time I swore a lot and I kicked things and raged on. Maybe you feel like you're going to become ultra sterile and ultra clinical rather than warm and smiley and welcoming. Maybe you decided you're only going to wear chinos and loose-fitting polo shirts from now on. And while protecting yourself is valid, let's not let the creepers define the work that we do. Do not let them win. Let's not strip away our therapeutic scope just because someone crossed a line. So let's wrap it up for today. I have treated thousands of people over the last decade, and I've had a handful of face-to-face encounters. I know for female therapists that number is probably going to be a lot higher. As mentioned earlier, I do feel protected by my gender. But I want you to know this. You are allowed to feel safe when you go to work. In fact, this is the law. You are allowed to protect yourself. You are allowed to be clinical, blunt, and assertive, even mid-session. You do not have to treat a person who makes you feel uncomfortable just because the owner wants to keep everyone happy. That is their weakness. And you are allowed to let someone go without guilt or explanation. Listen to your intuition. Protect yourself. This might mean sometimes you misread something and get it wrong, and you upset someone who's just fluffed their words and triggered your alarm bells. Oh well. You don't need to prove anything. And you don't need to wait until a line has been stomped on just to get clarification that what you're feeling is real. You just need to feel safe. You deserve to be safe. And if you're working for another, it is their duty to ensure that you are safe. Let's stop blaming ourselves. Let's stop wondering what we could have done differently. Let's keep supporting each other so none of us feel alone when this stuff happens. Thanks for listening to this episode. It's a tough topic, but it's an important one. I can't say that I enjoyed this very much. But I'd like to ask you a favour. Even if it's not this episode, can you perhaps send one of your favourite Folding Towers episodes to a massage buddy? It really helps us out. If you've got a story to share or you're still processing experience, you're welcome to reach out to us. You can do that through a DM if you'd like. You can email us through our website too at foldingtowerspodcast.com.au. We're here for that. There's no shame in surviving a creeper. I'll see you in the next one.